Welcome to Captain of Industry. Update 1 version 1 full release is here. I'm so excited. When the game was released in early access last year, it quickly became one of my favorite games of the year. And many of you also loved the series that we played last year on the starting map. Now V1 is here, launching May 30th, 2023. So today we start a new Let's Play with many twists. Different map and different settings. I'll teach you the basics, but also many secrets along the way, and we're gonna make a perfect factory together, including tons of blueprints that I will share on my Discord community, so you can get them for free and then use them on your own games. So the map, first and foremost, Insula Mortis. A challenging and fun map. You'll see in a minute why. The map is already a challenge, so we're gonna play on the Captain difficulty with 2 small changes. Not really changes to make it easier, more changes to make it a YouTube series. The first one is I'm going to increase slightly the starting resources so that again, the first few episodes can be a bit quicker. We don't have to wait so much for things to happen. And then the second is the world map deposits. I'm gonna make them unlimited. Again, it's not to make it easier, it's so that we can play forever if we want. In particular with that, I can share the save, especially with my Patreon supporters, so that you can enjoy for yourself and you can really play it forever. And I've also enabled the new tutorial that you can see over here on the left. This will help me remember to teach you all of the basics, and it also gives us a bit more resource to start. Of course, don't hesitate to share any question you may have in the comments below or on my Discord community. Before we start building a lot of things, let me do a 2-minute recap of the UI. Some of you may be new to the game and a couple of things have changed. First of all, I know many of you are gonna be wondering where are my tools in the bottom left corner, things to copy paste or cut or all those type of things. Don't worry, they haven't disappeared, they're just blocked behind one of the few research. So we're gonna research it very quickly and I'll show it to you in a few minutes. The one we do have over here is the layer. You can press L2. This will show you all of the resources on the map. You can also toggle what you want, for example, the grid, yes, no, or specific resource. For example, over here, I've hidden all of them, and if I only want the coal, I can see the coal. I can see a bit of coal there and a lot over there. And as you can see, this map is quite huge, right? And all of the resources are spread apart. It's not like I have everything right here, so that's gonna be a challenge. Then if we continue moving up, we have the tutorial. You can hide it, by the way, over here. If there is something you don't know, you can click on opening the tutorial details. Then this is our health, unity, and truck situation. We'll dive into all of this a bit later. Then we have our food reserves over here, 51 months of stock, so far so good. We have some time. Our population, we have 90 people living in our city. This is over here, this is the basic cities, you know, they live in containers. And we have space for 140. Of course, we will expand that in the future. Now, based on those 90 of population, we have 78 workforce available, right? Unemployment, if you wish. Then over here, we see where our main ship is. It's currently docked. So that means docks at our base. This is what you can see over here. We will in the future first repair it, and then we can also improve it. And then finally, for the top center UI, we have the number of vehicles. We have currently 9 vehicles, you can see them over here. It's actually 8 trucks and 1 tree harvesters. And we have a limit currently of 50. This will also be increased later on with research. It's worth noting that we will actually unlock other elements, for example, electricity, and then you will see it also at this top. Then continuing with the top right, this is your time. You know, we are on the 27th of May. No, that doesn't mean I'm recording on the 27th. You know, if I move the time now, we move to 28 of year 1. We can see that it is sunny, sometimes it's gonna rain, sometimes it's gonna be very bad weather, and you can pause or accelerate the time. You can use your numeric keypad if you want to move, you know, from 1, 2, and 3. So that's easy, and press space to pause. Then moving on the right side over here at the top, we have a 0%, which is the maintenance. This is actually arguably the most important resource in the game. I'll explain it when we unlock it. Right now it's locked, that's why we're at 0%. And then below we have the situation for many of our other resources. For example, this is coal, wood, etc. And what's really cool, I think a really great UI is you can see how much you have in reserve. For example, I have 80 for coal in reserve. And then what is the recent situation? You know, has it been stable? Has it been decreasing like my potato stocks because people are eating them? So with this, very easy to see what's decreasing, increasing. And you may not know that you can actually move those resources, you can move them up or down, to organize how you want. If you right click on a resource, you will get to the recipe, which is by the way F1, where you'll see how to produce or how to consume this specific resource that you clicked on. And on the other hand, if you do left click, then you will get into the overall statistic menu, where you can choose which resource you want to tag over here. So for example, my mechanical parts, right now it is white, it's not tagged. I'm gonna click on it, now it is yellow and it is tagged over here. So really good UI in my opinion. I talked about F1 before, your recipe book. You can also click over here to get to it and search whatever you want to see how to do it. On the other hand, F2 is a bit more kind of the encyclopedia of all of the tutorials on how to do things. We'll get into that in the future, but you can see they are really well written. There's a lot of pictures, a lot of numbers to show you what to do, where to start, those type of things. So I really appreciate that. Thank you to the dev team. And then at the bottom over here, we have mostly our buildings plus a couple of other things. For example, the world map over here. Yes, there is a world map. We'll talk about it later, statistic menus, etc. But mostly, as I said, all of our buildings. For example, over here, we have the research lab, your housing, etc. All of your buildings will cost some resources. You will need people to work there. Then you will need electricity and many things like this. But yeah, that was already a bit of time. So now let's dive really into the game. But of course, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to put them below. I read and answer all comments. So we have two missions. The first one is our iron production, the first production to get going, and then the food production, where we need to start the research lab. Let's do that right away. The research lab level 1 actually doesn't need any input resources or anything like that. So you can put it pretty much anywhere. I'm going to put it over here. And we're actually going to put 2. They say only 1, but I'm going to put 2. And then as soon as I unpause, you can see a couple of trucks getting some resources over here and then are sending them to this, and now it is built. Here it is. Actually, speed 3 is a bit high. Let's slow down 1 second. So each of those research lab, is going to take some workers. It's also going to consume some unity. We'll talk about it a bit in the future. And with that, it will give me some research points so we can start doing some research. By the way, many of the things you can change their name. So, I can change the building this to be Research Lab 1 versus this one can be Research Lab 2. But more importantly, I can change this pickup to be Christoph. Thank you, Christoph, for all of your support. I know you love this game, so I hope you're gonna enjoy this new series. And this one over here can be David. I don't know, David, if you actually like Captain of Industry. I know you're a big Anno fan, but I hope you will also like this new series. And even this housing block, this first block over here, and we can give it a neighborhood name. This is gonna be Galanton for one of my other Patreon supporters. So anyway, we have the research. Now we have this new thing over here of research. And this is the research tree. It is huge. We have 3 research already done, and that's why we have a couple of buildings already available, and we can do many others. This is the tool one that I mentioned, so let's do it right away. Then we're gonna want basic farming for sure. Now, what does these different colors mean? I mean, obviously yellow means this is being researched. This is in the queue. This is the number 1 in the queue. This is number 2 in the queue. Then this green one means they are available. We can do them right away. The number in the corner, 1 over here, 2 over there, sort of the research point that you need to finish this research. So obviously this one will take longer than that one. But what's really cool is you can also go directly to a research that's not available yet. If I wanted, I could go all the way over here and add it to the queue, and then automatically the game will add all of the research that are needed to get over there. So this is pretty convenient when you really want to go as fast as possible towards something. In this case, we are not gonna do that. That's a bit too much. While this is happening, we can start our iron production. But before, let me take a quick minute to look at the map. And in particular, we want to look at where the resources are, right? We have iron over here. This is the first resource they're talking about in red. This is there. Then because I also know the game quite well, I know we're gonna need copper, which is this blue one over here, and coal, which is this brown one over there, quite soon. So this is not too bad. They're not too far apart. We can maybe start creating, a sort of industrial complex over here. The only problem is there's a lot of trees, so we're gonna need to cut them all. And that's actually one of the first challenge of this map is there's quite a lot of trees where you're starting, so we're gonna need to cut them. Another big challenge is that soon after I'll probably want limestone, but as you can see, the limestone is not on the main island. this is the main island or the starting island, let's say. The limestone is somewhere else. My trucks can't go there. So we're gonna need to terraform this to join those two islands. And that's gonna take some time for sure. And by the way, a cool thing about this map is this is obviously a parrot skull, and you can see the parrot has one golden tooth. So anyway, as I said, probably an industrial complex over there. Then we have our population, we can expand it there, that's good. And then we have water over there, so probably we can do a bit of farming there, even if, again, we're gonna have all of those trees. Plus another challenge is, you can see this is not flat, right? We have a mountain over here, so we're gonna need to also terraform this before we can use this terrain for some big farms. So yes, quite a few challenges with this map, but the good thing is now we have finished the first research tool production. So now we have unlocked all of the tools there, so you'll see we can do a lot of things. We can cut a building and move it somewhere else. We can copy a building. We can use Unity to build very quickly, pause the construction of some buildings, do planning mode. This is sort of the Anno blueprint, if you're placing something, but it won't be built. It won't be built unless you click over here to unpause it, or you click over here to quick deliver with some Unity. I know I've mentioned the Unity quite a bit, but I'll explain a bit later. We don't really need to talk about it just now. And now we have unlocked basic farming too. So we have this new building over here, the farm. Let's build it right away, probably somewhere over here, as I said. We have the water there. Let me think about it for a second. We'll probably go the water there. Actually, we're gonna rotate. And so that's cool. Every building you can rotate, and you can also mirror. If you press F, you will mirror the building. And if you press R, you will rotate it. So that is a good one. Let's do something like this. And again, because I am in planning mode, this won't get built unless I do something. In this case, we're gonna just unpause it. There's no rush. And let's focus on the iron production. So iron production, we're going to start with a very basic one because we're gonna burn wood to make some coal, which means we actually need to also get wood, right? But that's good because, as I said, we have too much wood over here that's a bit in the way. So let's start cutting this wood. You actually can click over here or press H to get sort of your wood cutter or tree harvesting designation, to be precise. So that's what we're doing over here. I'm gonna cut all of those trees there. Now we have already one tree harvester, so that's great. As soon as I unpause, it's going to start going there. The only thing is that this truck is only going to cut the trees. It's not going to transport the resources. So I'm going to assign one truck to actually help with that. This truck over here are delivering the resources for the farm, so that's not a problem. But yeah, there's probably one truck. Here it is. This truck has been assigned to this tree harvester. All of these machines, as you can see, have a fuel tank. This is slowly but surely going to go down, but don't worry, we have a bit of fuel in reserve, so we should be fine. We don't have conveyor belts or anything like that, so we have to rely on trucks for now. Of course, this game, if you don't know, is full of things like conveyor belts, so we're gonna have tons of fun with that. So we have sort of done the first. Oh, and by the way, they're telling us to assign 2 trucks. The reason is, you see, this truck now is getting some wood, right? It's actually just full now, but he has nowhere to deliver the wood because I said that this should be kept empty and therefore they cannot deliver over here, and there's nowhere else to deliver. It's fine, don't worry, because the goal is we're gonna now deliver it somewhere. We're going to deliver to the coal maker. It's taking some wood, as you can see, to make some coal and a bit of exhaust. This is sort of pollution, if you wish, in the air. So anyway, as I said, let's start building this maybe over here. We're gonna rotate it. Perfect. You press C, for example, just to copy, and F to mirror, and then you can have 2 of them with the 2 exhausts next to each other. And therefore we can do something a bit smart to put the smokestack just between them. And then we're gonna put a quick pipe. Done. So 1 pipe for 2. Then one of my biggest tips right away, click always on this button. You should only have to click once the first time you launch the game, but just in case, make sure this is ticked. This will show all of the production in terms of production per minute. Because some production are per minute, some production are per 20 seconds, per 80 seconds, all those type of things. And if you leave it in terms of the real production time, it is often quite hard to have good production that are optimized. But anyway, in this case, this is 60 per minute, right? That is accepted. And this is producing only 6. So 12, this is totally fine. We could put way more if we wanted. So anyway, now let's use a bit of Unity to get that going. So it's moving from white to blue and will be built in a second. Done. Here it is. We have 2 buildings. So now our truck can come and will deliver right away. They said we need to put a second one. So this has delivered, and now you can see this small animation. This one is starting over here. We're gonna see some fumes soon. So now let's continue. We have made some coal. We can use this coal in the blast furnace. This is a bigger building already, as you can see. I'm gonna take coal and also later iron, so I'm gonna put it somewhere like this. So this building already gets a bit more complex. You can see the green, that is inputs. So inputs, in this case, iron scrap and coal. This is the recipe that is selected. In the future, we'll get many more recipes, but for one, only one. So the coal and the iron scrap needs to come from here. Then we have multiple red arrows. That's the outputs, right? We have an output that is in the middle, which is the molten iron. Then we have this one, which is the gas, right? You can see it's a pipe. So this will be for the exhaust. And then over here, we have another one, which for now will not give anything, but later on when we have more complex recipe, things will also come from there. So you have to put an exhaust, because if you don't put an exhaust, this will accumulate and then this will stop. We need to take care of both the outputs and we need both inputs too. So this is producing 24 molten iron, right? This will go into the metal caster, which is taking 12. So if my math are not failing me, we're gonna need 2 of these to be at equilibrium. Now for resource like coal or iron scrap, this can be delivered by truck. I hope you understand that molten iron cannot be delivered by a truck easily. So in this case, we're gonna need a molten channel. So it's good that we have access to it already, and we can just drag it like this and done. Another way is you don't even have to go over here. You can just click there and it will immediately put it down. Okay, so with all of this, we're gonna make some iron. But if you are paying attention, you have realized that we need iron scrap and you don't really know what that is. Well, that's okay. Iron scrap will be in the future recycled, but for now we have this old abandoned communication tower which has some iron scrap. Obviously it's to help us start in the game, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna start recycling. So there's a bit more than 1000 iron scrap over here, and our trucks are going to start taking it and delivering, all the way over here. This is a bit far, so as soon as possible, and here it is, we have it, unit storage. We're gonna want to start to store things. Okay, so now we have to wait a bit for the iron and the first potatoes to be built. We have a couple of new buildings already researched. Our research is also continuing, but we also had some that we didn't build before. For example, over here you can see we have the food market, it is this one, and we also have the waste collection, right? Our people are going to create waste. So what I'm gonna do is place the waste on this side, because I know that I want to start dropping the waste more on that side than over there. So to limit, the route that my trucks have to do, we're gonna do it on this side. The only problem is over here, this is not going to work because this is not linked to my cities. I first need to build this one, which will cost me quite a bit of resources. But yeah, I want to do it to be set up a bit better for the future. So as I said, this will start to collect our waste, but now our waste needs to go somewhere, right? So this is where we're gonna click on a truck situation over here. Why? Because I want to show you this section there. This section over here is where you decide which resource can be dumped by your truck anywhere on the map that you've designated to be somewhere where we dump things. So in this case, by default, usually it's the dirt, the rock, the slack, and the waste. But you can add whatever else you want. In particular, at some point in the game, compost can be an interesting one to start dumping. But in this case, I'm actually going to go a bit different. I'm going to take out all of this and leave only the waste. I'll explain in the future why. But then we're gonna want to dump. So dumping is over here and it's the Z. This will tell your trucks where to dump things. Now, when you dump, you can do a couple of things. You can create a ramp for example, you know? So my trucks are going to dump resources over here, then over there, and then there, etc. And after some time, they will have created this ramp. Now, I don't really want to do that right now, but you can. What I'm going to do is, as I said, we want to get over here as soon as possible. So I'm gonna start creating this. I'm gonna press F so that instead of having a ramp, we're gonna have a flat surface. You know, this is a flat surface, pressing F. And that's what I want to try to do, basically creating a natural bridge over here. That's definitely going to take some time, but it's never too early to start. So with this, my population can start eating, pooping, and creating some waste that won't get stuck over here. Obviously, if it gets stuck over here, this is gonna be bad. And with this, we have finished our first two missions. We have finished the food production, produce a couple of potatoes. So we get some resources and potatoes, and we also finished our iron production. So we get again some resources. And with this, we've unlocked the next steps of the tutorial. So we did this one, so I think this should start. I mean, it's gonna take some time for a truck to come and dump it, but yeah, this one is gonna start. Now, assembly manual, that's gonna be an important one, but also the trading dock. We have done this research, so we have a first trading dock, because remember, as I said, there is a world map. So on the world map, you can see your own island, right? This is me. Then you will find from time to time some other settlements, right? Some neighbors, if you wish. So this is the first one that we have from the start. Actually get population from it if we want, against some unity, or we can also get some resources. And then you also see all of those question marks. Those question marks are places we haven't been before. So at some point we're gonna want to explore them, but right now we cannot do that yet. What we can do is build a trading port. It is 100 of wood. We don't have that much wood yet, but we can do that. And therefore with this, we'll be able to start trading. Now we need 100 of wood. So to do that, we're going to create a unit storage next to where we actually also need the wood, right? And similarly to the buildings we saw before, all of the storage will have inputs and outputs, right? Green is input and red is output. I'm gonna put it close by so that later when we have conveyors, we can use that. And actually maybe we'll slot 2 for now, but we'll build only 1. We can decide which product to assign to it. So we're gonna say wood. Now if you're a veteran, the visuals have slightly changed. As you can see, we can see wood on top and also when there is wood inside. Can you deliver some wood, please? It's not the most beautiful animation, but I still love it. I think that's great. They're cutting, putting some wood into my truck. Now it's full, so it's gonna go. In a second, go for it. Oh, it's driving in the forest. It's going to deliver hopefully over here, so I can show you what I wanted to show. And no, of course not. And here it is, some first trucks have delivered some waste. You can see it, it's ugly. And it's not just ugly, it's gonna also create pollution. We're gonna talk about that in the future. But yeah, we have some pollution now that's really not so great, but at least we have finished this mission there. And we've delivered also a bit of wood, which as you can see is over here. There is not a lot as you can see, and this is because this is not full at all. When this will be full, you will be able to see, you know, the wood up to the top. And so it's a really great visual way to see if your depots are full without even clicking on them. I'm talking so much, explaining everything, that the research is going and going. So I launched a couple of new ones. So in the meantime, let's look at the other one, construction parts. We have unlocked the assembly manual. So as the name says, it's a manual assembly line to produce basic products. So it's not going to be fast. It's not going to be able to do very advanced things, but there's a couple of recipes as you can see. So we started to produce iron, right? So with this iron, we can either make mechanical parts. If we have iron and mechanical parts and electronics, which we have some in reserves but we're not making yet, we can make vehicle parts. And on the other hand, if we add iron to the wood and some bricks, we can make some construction parts. Remember, construction parts is basically the basics resource to build a lot of the buildings, so that's definitely a critical one to get started on. Now it is worth noting that you can select multiple recipes if you want, but you will give them a priority. You know, this one is at the top, so this will be the priority one, meaning as long as I have some of those resources, I will build this. Then this will be the second one, and obviously you can increase or decrease the priorities by clicking on those arrows over here. In this case, for now, the mission is really to build some construction parts, and I know I need a lot to start expanding my city. So let's focus just on this. Okay, so I know we haven't built so much yet, especially for the veterans of the game, but I really wanted to make sure to cover the basics for everybody who's jumping into this amazing game. And for all of the veterans, there is actually a lot of new productions, a lot of new buildings that you've never seen before. And soon we'll also unlock the blueprints, so we can start doing some cool blueprints from basic ones in the early game to super advanced later on. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this game, especially if you're just discovering it now. Also about the series, do you want me to go faster? Do you want me to explain more things? Don't hesitate to tell me in the comments below so I can make the next episode even better for you all. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.